Welcome to Northern Michigan Update. I'm State Senator Jason Allen, and today we have Mike Green with us from the Michigan Department of Corrections. Mike, it's nice to have you here today.
Thank you very much, Senator.
And
pleasure.
just to kind of talk a little bit, we've worked closely together in a lot of different areas,
Yes.
and I think the impact that you've been able to make in the state as far as the prison industries, what we've been able to do with Habitat, and the way we've been able to restructure things has been very, very positive.
Sure.
Now, to kind of go through, can you give us a little bit of background on sort of the Michigan prisons and how vast those systems
Sure.
are and how many prisons we have, prisoners, those types of things?
Well, we're the sixth largest correctional system in the country, and we have to remind people that we're the caretakers, and our primary mission is to protect public safety, and so we provide custody and security for approximately 46,000 inmates. Now, that population has been reduced through a variety of initiatives, including our Michigan Prisoner Reentry Initiative, which is really an entrance to exit and then 6 months aftercare, with making sure that inmates are going out, becoming successful, and becoming members of the tax-paying community, as opposed to those at a $30,000 a year cost. So that's our primary function. We have approximately 42 correctional facilities in the state, and so our first, obviously, mission is to protect the public for those serving sentences for their crimes. Now, another component of what we do in corrections is to prepare those inmates who are eventually going back to those communities to stay out. Okay. And in so doing, our Michigan State Industries, or our prison industries, is a major component of that. And that's part of our Office of Employment Readiness.
Okay, so going in, you said 42 correctional facilities. Where are the concentrations of those facilities?
Well, we have them obviously as far away as Baraga, and of course you have a couple in your district, to say the least, and as far down as Detroit. Okay. And so they spread north to south, east to west throughout the state of Michigan. That would include any camps we currently have. And
so just to kind of go through the structure, we've got the different regional facilities. Like, you know, everybody talks about Jackson, and
Sure.
that is one of our larger facilities. Is that right?
It is actually, at one point in time, it was the largest walled prison in the world.
Wow.
And it has now been split off into, at least that particular prison, 3 distinct prison facilities, but there are actually 4 operating facilities in the city of Jackson.
Okay. And then there's the facility up in Baraga, and I've seen some stuff with, was it Congressman Stupak talking about potentially that turning into some federal issues, and that's very interesting. Do you interface much with the federal corrections facility?
We do, at least with respect to certainly with our federal industries partner in terms of what they call Unicor, and that is their industries where they assist the federal government in terms of products and services. But Director Pat Caruso is very involved with the American Correctional Association, and through her work there and her being on that particular board, interfaces quite substantially with our federal system.
Very, very intriguing. So now going through, so we've got 42 facilities in the state.
Correct.
And so like in Jackson, where 6 of those 42 facilities are in Jackson, and then we have the Pugsley Correctional Facility in the southern part of Grand Traverse County, right on the border. Yeah. And then we have a large facility up in Kinross. Can you give us a little bit of a background? And I know that there's multiple facilities in those. Do you know sort of how that is structured there?
Well, Kinross is at one time a Strategic Air Command base, and converted over to a Michigan Correctional System. So it's a large, expansive prison system there. And then we have Chippewa, another facility in your district, and as you indicated, in Kingsley we have our Pugsley Correctional Facility. Oftentimes those are multi-level. In other words, we'll have minimum security inmates housed in particular units inside those prison walls, and then maybe higher level security, a 3 and sometimes a 4 as well. And so each of those are classified different types of inmates in one particular prison setting.
So we've got those facilities that
correct.
are the 42, and then you talked about sort of the training process and the rehabilitations that you've been working on. Sure. Now we know that there's the areas that you're involved with, which is the Michigan State Industries. We know that there's an educational component that is going on, and then an evaluation process that goes on. Sure. Now, when we were up at Kinross, they were talking about sort of how these primarily men get their GEDs. Can you go a little bit about sort of the educational process that goes on?
Sure. Well, under state law, a prisoner who is to be eligible for parole had to obviously have received either a high school diploma or their GED, which we provide. Actually, we're probably the, if not the largest, one of the largest adult education
sort of
school
facility,
systems, yeah, in the,
right.
in the state. And you know, by fiat, I mean, we need to get these inmates who have not had that educational background. So they do need to have their GED, at least in that equivalent. From there, if they're classified and they're at a security level where they're able to engage in other academic pursuits or vocational programs, in order to provide them the training requisite for some employment on the outside. And we also work very significantly with the National Work Keys program. So we're looking to make sure that those employees, or those, excuse me, those prisoners going out to become employees, have what employers would prefer in terms of an employee. And so we're heavily engaged in not trying to provide bachelor's degrees, but we're trying to get them employment ready, and that's the key.
Now, from when I was with your director, Caruso, she was talking about one of the huge challenges is that part of the reason they were speculating so many of these people are in prison is a whole variety of things.
Sure.
But their ability to read and write and function in society is one of the big challenges.
Yes, actually, prisoner literacy is sometimes a challenge, and so we're having to go back and provide that type of remedial work,
right.
which unfortunately was not either committed to or provided outside of the prison system. So we're back there trying to teach them how to read, how to write, and how to communicate effectively.
Wow.
So, in times it's a significant challenge. Now, there are those who, will be in prison for some time, and because they're a threat to society.
Mm-hmm.
Others it's dawned on them either by maturity or by suddenly a realization that they don't want to spend time in prison anymore. That they've got some talents and skills, and they'll obviously be much more motivated to learn and to move forward.
Wow. Well, that's an amazing part, because I think we sometimes forget about some of the challenges that the reason why they're driven to crime.
It is a tough challenge, and yet we're they come into our door, and we need to make sure that they go back out, not wanting to come back in or not coming.
Right. Now, going on to sort of what your specific role has
Sure.
been, and I've been so impressed with what you've been able to accomplish. Within our correctional facility, the 42 facilities, there is a term called the Michigan State Industries.
Correct, yes.
And then you've got sort of under that purview, I know that you've sort of been involved a little bit with our prison gardens. You've been involved with Habitat for Humanity.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
You've been involved in manufacturing of garments and apparel. You've been involved with manufacturing of products for other Michigan prisons and
Absolutely.
other prisons in the United States.
Yes.
So how did the Michigan State Industries get started? How did that all
Sorry.
work through?
Well, it goes way back historically across the country in states' correctional systems, as well as obviously the federal government. Prisoners were performed work tasks, either cleaning up the grounds or providing plantings or helping out with food service. And so it's over time actually acclimated into a situation in which we're actually engaged in some manufacturing, some service centers, as you indicate. The key piece is that one, to reduce idleness in our prison systems, and two, is to provide a training background for inmates going out. Now, we're not there to compete with private sector
Sure.
citizens. Our obligation is to provide products and services for state agencies and some other nonprofits who might not otherwise be able to acquire those services. So they might go from laundries, they might go to some optical equipment. We provide items for the blind. We're engaging in areas in terms of alternative energy. We're looking at biodiesel, helping out industry to perfect new methods of performing services. We're working right now on the possibility of working with a company that would have a mobile biodiesel refinery, which would assist our agricultural community, and hoping to maybe be a testing ground for that, and where you're growing canola seeds or using waste oil to convert into biodiesel fuel.
And I assume there's probably within the prisons a lot of waste oil.
There is. To say the least, obviously, with our food service production. We're serving 46,000 plus inmates 3 meals a day.
Wow.
And over a period of time. So we include, as you indicated, and I'll tell you one unique opportunity is obviously blossomed, and that was the passage of Senate Bill 632. Mm-hmm. Your initiative, your sponsorship went through unopposed, if I could recall correctly.
Right, yeah.